Hey, woo, we're live. We've done it.
Did it work?
Yes,
Can you hear
yes,
me?
we've done it.
Yay! I can use technology.
Yeah. We're all
Hey,
good.
Maddie, I see Maddie's online. Quentin, say hi to Maddie. Quentin, Quentin. Maddie loves my cat more than my cat loves me.
Right, okay. How are we doing? Is your hair,
I'm doing good.
you dyed your hair?
It's
Is it
not
looking
black
like?
anymore.
Okay. So you're
I,
not
I
anymore.
liked it. I liked it black, and I was told by a lot of people that it didn't look good. So I was just like,
Ah,
okay, well then I guess I'll change it. I'm not that attached to it. So
okay, cool.
yeah, but no, I'm still alive. Not gotten sick yet. So
Yeah.
this is my cat Quentin. He's helping with the
What's
Maddie's
the,
loving it. He's going to help with the Instagram live. He's here for moral support.
okay, cool. Have you ever you've done questions and stuff before, haven't you?
No, I've avoided like showing my face on like any sort of live thing. So just
Oh,
because you're special, I'm going live.
thanks, thanks. I've never asked questions though, so who knows what we're gonna end up with.
Okay,
You know what I
I'll
mean?
try. I'll try and take it serious and be very professional.
No. We're like,
Okay.
we'll just be normal. We'll just be normal. Cool. So, I mean, I guess like, let's jump in because I don't know how much phone memory I've got. So hopefully it's gonna save after it because I deleted like a ton of photos, but I did some quick maths with how much gig I had left. We'll see. It's borderline. All right. So I guess just like tell us your personal backstory. Like, so
Um.
not really weddings, like how have you ended up over here and stuff and
Oh. Um. It's a really shit story, but I'll tell you. I had a really bad year in university. Like I was just like I didn't really feel like I was ready to graduate, and I kind of wanted to take a break. And I was just like, so my university had a thing where you can go and work at like sister schools around the world, and like you get university credit, and you get kind of like a bit of a stipend, but not very much. Basically, it's like slave labor, and then
yeah,
you
yeah.
go away for a year. So I applied to a bunch of different schools just to kind of take a break. One of them was in Macau near Hong Kong, and the
Mm,
other one was a school in Watford. And so the school in Watford got in touch first. So I could have ended up in China. Instead, I ended up in the UK.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then the first day that I was in the UK was the day that I met my husband. Like
Oh,
he's one of the first people I met when I was here. And he was basically doing the same thing because he's Canadian. He
uh,
was taking a gap year and working at the same school.
mm,
So, and we didn't start dating or anything while we were like kind of doing our gap year, but we were like traveling around Europe and just having a good time. And then we both went back across the pond.
yeah.
But he has a British passport through his dad because his dad's a British citizen. So we did long distance and we got married. And then it was one of those things where because we didn't share a passport, we had to decide where we wanted to live. And we both really did like London. So we're just like, why not, see if we can live in London? And so he flew over first because I couldn't come and live here without him having a
Without
job.
him, yeah. All right, okay, cool.
He flew over first and he had a job within 2 days. Like he
Mm.
landed in like 48 hours. He had a job.
Is
So
he a
just like
go-getter?
probably. It's really annoying actually. He's one of those people who's like goes out for drinks at the pub and gets offered a job,
Yeah.
which
Just because
is
he's
like really
talking to
frustrating at the
random people.
moment. Yeah. So like he a few years ago he was in between jobs. He's like, oh, I'm gonna take a couple of weeks off, take a break, and then look for a job. And he had a job within a day.
Oh, just one of them people.
He's just one of those people. So
Mm.
yeah, we kind of just said, well, we'll try London, see how we like it, and that was 10 years ago. So it's home now. So we really like it. Um, I don't really want to move back to the States unless I
Why
could help
not?
it.
Why not? Because you
Um,
like London or because you don't want to go back to it?
I like London. All my stuff is here. My
Yeah.
friends are here. My cat's here. Like everything's here. And then like the U.S. is just kind of like it's a little bit different as far as like how weddings work and how the healthcare system works. And then like then you got to hang out with people who like Trump and stuff like that. Like it's just not
It's not
it's
your
not
bag.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. So then I guess like so you're over here, you're trying to get a job yourself, and where did
Well, I
photography
had
come from?
started
Or
I had started doing wedding photography. I mean, I this
okay,
because I've been here for 10 years.
yeah.
I had started doing wedding photography in the States. So I had
All
started
right,
doing it
okay.
10 years ago. And so
Mm.
I almost had to restart when we moved over here. I got a job working in like an office for a year. And that job was horrible, and it really kind of pushed me to like actually pursue it more because I didn't want to keep that job. It was so bad. I was like breaking out in hives because I was so stressed out. It was a terrible job. I actually ran into my old boss a couple years ago. And I was like, thank you for being terrible. You really pushed me to pursue my dream.
Pushed me on, yeah.
Yeah, because it would have been a good job. I would have been like it would have been more cushy about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was an asshole.
So did you get to see much of the American industry before you came here, so that you can kind of have that comparison now, or were you just starting
a little bit. I've definitely shot way more here than I have in the States, but I do occasionally go back and shoot in the States every couple of years.
Yeah.
And so I'll get like friends of friends or like people that I know through other people that will ask me to come back and shoot over there. Yeah. There is a massive difference between how British people do weddings and how Americans do weddings. And I kind of like the British setup a bit more because you have a bit more time in the day.
Okay. What would be like an American one then?
So like American wedding, it's not uncommon to have the ceremony at like 5, and then straight into cocktail hour, straight into dinner, straight into dancing, and then be done at midnight. So that's why they have just like all in one place, bam, 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 just done. Yeah. That's why they have the first look, because you physically can't do all those photos with that time span.
Okay.
And what ends up happening is if people are running late with like hair and makeup, which they will, your photography time just keeps disappearing.
Shrinking.
And then that time is dead in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Which is like the worst time to shoot. Like, I don't want to shoot in the afternoon. I want to shoot in like the sunset in the evening. And like, you really don't have that kind of like flexibility with the schedule.
Yeah.
It's a lot more, I find them a lot more stressful, whereas British weddings is kind of like a little bit more laid back.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
It's good to know. So and so how did you get into weddings in the first place then? Why not like fashion photography or was
I'm not that fashionable.
You like your vintage stuff and all that?
Well, I was getting married, and I was kind of like realizing that I actually really like weddings, because like I always like when I'd pass the wedding dress shop, I'd be like, oh my God, like wedding dresses. I like want to look at them and like be like, oh, that's really cool. And then be like, no, it's not. I'm too cool for that. I don't want to get married. But secretly I was like always like browsing like the bridal magazines just because I liked it as an industry. I realize that now I liked it as an industry. I didn't like it because I was like longing to get married. I liked it because it was a kind of a fun thing. And then when I was planning my own wedding, I was like, actually, I really like this. So I actually second shot my first wedding while I was planning my own wedding. And I had randomly met a wedding photographer who let me come in second, like, well, it was more like third shoot because she already had a second shooter. Yeah, just like hang out and take some photos. Yeah. Carry the bags. You know, if you give the couple like 3 or 4 photos, that'd be great. And she was so nice. And then I put an ad on, I think the American one's Craigslist. I can't remember anymore. It's like I put an ad on Craigslist for like doing wedding photography for like $250. Yeah. Which is like ridiculously cheap. It was like $250 including the engagement session, how cheap it was. And I got a couple of biters.
You might as well have just done it free.
I pretty much did it for free. But like that's, you know, something to start a portfolio. And they were so chill. They were like the couples were lovely and they were really chill about it. And I mean, in hindsight, I didn't do that great of a job, but I still did a good enough job for I think what they wanted.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And did that kind of bring you on to, you knew straight away what kind of clients you wanted because you had those chill clients? And
no, I had no, like I genuinely didn't know. I had no idea. I knew fuck all about what I was doing. Yeah. I had a basic grasp about how to use a camera. Like I could shoot the camera in manual. Didn't understand off-camera flash. Really didn't know like I knew how to use my camera, but I didn't know how the differences between cameras and stuff like that. Like I couldn't have told you why a full frame camera was better than like an entry level. I shot it on an entry level camera. I knew how to use the entry level camera, but I pretty much told my first client, it was just like, we're going to be finished the wedding before it's dark, right? It's like, yeah, it's fine. It's like, because I don't have a flash. I have nothing. It's like, if it starts getting dark, your wedding photography is finished.
Yeah, it's over.
And she's like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, exactly.
So when did like the the sort of ideal client type thing? When did you start to become aware of that and like push towards, getting it? I mean, I guess let's start off with what is your ideal client now,
One
and
that
then
pays me. I love those. Those are my
yeah,
favorite ones. I think I kind of, because you kind of see this, like, they're all kind of different. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you see your clients, you're like, oh, I love this client. They might be a little bit different than other clients you've had, where you're like, oh my God, I love this client. But I think all of them are passionate about photography. Like, I have a lot of my clients tend to be hobbyist photographers and actually genuinely really good photographers. So I think when they're looking at wedding photography, they know what they're looking at. And so my ideal client is kind of somebody who actually understands what's going on a little bit. They're not just somebody who's just being like, oh, that looks pretty, that's it. They will generally have really good gear on their own.
okay,
And I have had clients who are professional photographers, clients that are wedding photographers. And so, like, that's incredibly flattering. But it's also, like, to have them trust you
super
and know what they're
stressful as
looking
well, though,
for.
surely. Really, or not? Not
You know what?
anymore.
Actually, I find them to actually be really reasonable, especially the wedding photographers. I think the wedding photographers they don't expect the impossible of you.
Yeah.
And
They
so, like, if you
understand the
can
challenges and stuff.
they understand the challenge of it. And so, like, and I know this isn't like a lot of people do this, but if I have a client that's a wedding photographer and they ask me for the raws, I'll give them the raws.
Okay.
Because they don't expect the white balance to be right straight out of
Yeah,
camera.
yeah.
Whereas, like, if I had a client that wasn't a photographer demand the raws, I was like, well, you don't really know why something might not be perfect, and all of a sudden you have to answer those questions. Whereas, like, if I have a wedding photographer client, they're usually really chill.
Yeah.
So
So what's your approach on the day then? It's pretty laid back from when I've shot with you. It's pretty laid back, but you get the job. You're very good at like organizing people when they need to be organized.
I could be a
Yeah,
I don't want to use the word
yourself.
demanding bitch, but I could be a demanding bitch when I want to. Like, I want to be chill. Like, I don't want to be a wedding planner, but sometimes you have to be a wedding planner to get what you need. So it's kind of weird because I have second shot for other people, so I don't know how other people. I know how some people primary shoot, but not how, like, everybody primary shoots. So, like, I'd much rather be like chill, laid back, and like have a good time and already be organized than like have no idea what the fuck is going on and trying to figure out in the day.
Yeah.
Like, if you haven't done that legwork, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, you're like, oh, I don't know how to get to the reception venue. You should have figured that out beforehand.
Yeah. So
Like, oh, where's their parking? You should have figured that one out beforehand.
Yeah. So like, as long as you do the prep work and stuff, you should be able to. That should feed into like how much how relaxed you are on the day.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you don't have, like, you've already kind of figured out the scenarios, and you're chill. Like, you can just go and hang out in the day.
Yeah. So what did you think? Like, I guess the first time you shot with me was Gorkum and Grant's. Like, did you think like I was too relaxed or a little bit?
No, you're quite chill. I generally find there is a handful of like videographers that, like, you want them to be relaxed, but if they need something, you can work together.
Yeah.
I don't like ones that determine to get in your way. Because I can be really chill, because I like videographers and I want you to get what you need. But, like, if you're in the way of everybody, like, it just kind of makes it uncomfortable for the guests. Like, you have to have some sort of, like, interior, like, do you know what I mean? Like, some people aren't aware how obtrusive they are at a wedding. Like, I had a videographer a few years ago who, he had just gotten a drone and he was really excited about it. And he was flying it over the guests' heads, like, constantly.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you realize you're kind of ruining the mood a bit.
Yeah.
Like, it's like this giant bumblebee, like, flying over everybody's heads. So if somebody's chill, that's great. And, like, you're a very chill shooter, which is perfect. But if, like, you said, hey, do you mind just stepping aside so I can get what I need? I'll totally let you through.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I'm not afraid to step in your shot.
Exactly.
You're like editing me out, cropping me out.
That bloody hair again. So what does it like? What do you think? How often does it come up that maybe the client's already? Because historically, it's normally the photographer's booked before the videographer. So how often does that conversation come up with like where the couple will ask you for recommendations, or is it more common that they've just gone ahead and found someone on their own and booked you?
I would say they ask me all the time.
All the time?
Yeah, all the time. And and I'll like ask people if they're available, or I'll just send a list of videographers that I like. I much rather them ask me and spend a little bit, and I'll even, when they ask me, I'll even give them a little bit of disclaimer why they need to spend money on a videographer.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't want them booking a 500-pound videographer.
Yeah. So like, what's the gist of that? What does it say?
It's mostly just saying, like, videographers tend to have more gear than I do. They tend to spend more time in editing than I do. Like, don't be surprised if they cost just as much as me.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna do it, spend money on it, because the people that you have at the wedding can make a feel of the environment. So like, if you have like someone who's really new, doesn't know what they're doing, kind of a pain in the ass, it can kind of ruin the mood.
Yeah.
And so like, you're better off spending an extra £1,000, getting someone who's great, and then having a good day, and then having a beautiful video. Because otherwise, what's the point? Why spend a little bit of money on it and not spend more money on it? Because if you're gonna have it, you should have it.
Yeah. You're just like, exactly like what you say. If you're gonna spend £500, still like not an irrelevant amount of money. So if you're gonna chuck 500 at it, then at least kind of take it up to like 1,500 is, I guess, your kind of starting point for getting like pretty good quality. You can get a good video
exactly. And so basically, I know this is a bit of a debate in the wedding videographer world. I would much rather them pay me £500 for me to do like a quick little highlight video for 3 minutes, and then there's no videographer in the way.
Yeah.
But if they don't want that, if they want like the full speeches and all that stuff, I'd much rather them spend way more and actually get somebody who's good.
Yeah.
Because that 500-pound Gumtree videographer. But on the flip side, I'm not afraid to step in your shop.
Exactly. But you get the job. You're very good at like organizing people when they need to be organized.
I could be a. Yeah, I don't want to use the word.
Here again. So what does it like? What do you think? How often does it come up that maybe the client's already? Because historically, it's normally the photographer's booked before the videographer. So how often does that conversation come up with like where the couple will ask you for recommendations, or is it more common that they've just gone ahead and found someone on their own and booked you?
I would say they ask me all the time.
All the time?
Yeah, all the time. And I'll like ask people if they're available, or I'll just send a list of videographers that I like. I much rather them ask me and spend a little bit, and I'll even, when they ask me, I'll even give them a little bit of disclaimer why they need to spend money on a videographer.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't want them booking a 500-pound videographer.
Yeah. So like, what's the gist of that? What does it say?
It's mostly just saying, like, videographers tend to have more gear than I do. They tend to spend more time in editing than I do. Like, don't be surprised if they cost just as much as me.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna do it, spend money on it, because the people that you have at the wedding can make a feel of the environment. So like, if you have like someone who's really new, doesn't know what they're doing, kind of a pain in the ass, it can kind of ruin the mood.
Yeah.
And so like, you're better off spending an extra £1,000, getting someone who's great, and then having a good day, and then having a beautiful video. Because otherwise, what's the point? Why spend a little bit of money on it and not spend more money on it? Because if you're gonna have it, you should have it.
Yeah. You're just like, exactly like what you say. If you're gonna spend £500, still like not an irrelevant amount of money. So if you're gonna chuck 500 at it, then at least kind of take it up to like 1,500 is, I guess, your kind of starting point for getting like pretty good quality. You can get a good video
exactly. And so basically, I know this is a bit of a debate in the wedding videographer world. I would much rather them pay me £500 for me to do like a quick little highlight video for 3 minutes, and then there's no videographer in the way.
Yeah.
But if they don't want that, if they want like the full speeches and all that stuff, I'd much rather them spend way more and actually get somebody who's good.
Yeah.
Because that 500-pound Gumtree videographer is going to get in my way, and it's going to affect your photos, and it's going to affect your video.
Yeah, it's definitely like, so I guess like people who don't know that you've started doing sort of highlights they don't have audio, do they? It's just the video clips just now. But like, they're really good for like what they are and stuff. They're amazing in terms of like quality and stuff. They're so much better than what you would get for, like anything under like probably under £1,500.
Yeah.
Like, so they'd be much better to go with you to just do that little extra thing. If they don't want all the bells and whistles, like you say, of the full ceremony, full speeches and stuff. Then
Exactly. And I'm never going to promise them that, because I can't do both. And I can't do both well. But if it's a matter of like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, no sound, then if that's all they want, then that's fine. I'd much rather them just say like, okay, I know we're going to get something okay and decent, and we don't have to worry about extra staff and feeding another person and organizing another
Yeah.
person. But like, I definitely think that when photographers are pitching those highlight films, we need to be fair about what we can do and what we can't do. Because I can't do the first kiss, the confetti. I can't do all of those things and photograph at the same time. I can do like an exterior of the venue, or it doesn't take any extra time.
Yeah.
That's easy to do for both photo and video. But I definitely think that we need to be fair realistically about what we can do.
Yeah.
And I much rather, if they're, especially, and people want their full-length speeches and the full-length ceremony and stuff like that. Oh, sorry, my cat wants to go outside. Hold on. We're going on a field trip.
All right, cool. House tour.
There we go.
Oh, was that it? Just to
Yeah,
go
that was
back.
it.
All right, cool. So what about I guess like I've only had one photographer who it was like really difficult with on the day, and
Was it me?
so yeah, twice. And then where was I going with that question? So is there like have you like kind of got a blacklist of if the couple had chose a videographer, you'd be like, oh, you really need to like kind of reconsider that?
Yeah,
Or
there is definitely a
Oh,
blacklist.
okay.
There is definitely a blacklist.
Okay.
The worst one, I had a videographer who walked 2 feet in front of the bride as she was walking down the aisle, like handheld 2 feet in front of the bride.
Okay.
Wouldn't talk to me beforehand, like wouldn't negotiate or anything like that. Was like super in my way the entire day. And the bride and groom didn't really want them. The groom's parents wanted them.
Okay, yeah.
And I basically told the bride during the reception, I was like, you need to stop these guys because they're way too much. They'd even hired, and this goes against like my policy, it was a photo video package that the groom's parents hired. So they brought their own photographer. And that guy had no idea what he was doing. Like, we were outside. He had a flash on his camera, pointed up, bouncing flash off the sky.
Off the sky, yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like, I don't want this guy, I don't want anybody to assume that this person's with me, because he's not.
Because that is the assumption, I guess, that is what people are going to think. You know, it's the photographers together. So.
And so I basically just said to the bride, I was like, can you just like, and so she just made the guy leave, which was awesome of her. But yeah, it was like, they were like really in the face, like really strong direct lights. Really, like, especially when you already have beautiful light, I don't see why you need to be like putting on strong direct lights into people's faces. But yeah, I think in most of the cases where I've had the worst videographers, those have been cases where there were clients that didn't want them, but they were kind of pressured into having them.
Yeah. I'd say that is, I mean, what do you think when there's that kind of mismatch between like somebody who books you and then they book like a newbie or a kind of lower end videographer? Like, I always find if they book like quite a cheap photographer for us, it makes it usually tends to be a little bit of a harder relationship stuff on the day.
I mean, as long as they're nice, I can work
Like
with
nice
it. Like,
people,
if they're
yeah.
willing to, if they're nice people and willing to like have a conversation and admit that they don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I had a couple years ago, I had a videographer who'd never filmed a wedding before. He had done like surfing videos and stuff like that, so he knew his camera, but he'd never done a wedding. So I like during the day like walked him through the schedule and was just like, okay, we need to be here now, and kind of giving him heads ups. And I have had several cases where I've loaned videographers gear out of my own bag. Because I shoot Sony, and a lot of videographers shoot Sony as well, so I tend to actually have more Sony gear than they have. And I keep like video lights in my bag because I sometimes like a constant light. And so I've had videographers show up to weddings with no video lights, and then when the room gets dark, they're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." Just pull the 20-pound Amazon light out of my bag. Here you go. Because I want the clients to have a good experience, and I want them to have a good video. So as long as they're nice about it, like, I'll totally help them. But yeah, I did have a wedding a few years ago where I swear the videographers were prisming everything. Like, there was a prism in front of the lens the entire day. They were like prisoning the cake cut. Sorry, this is going to turn into a bitch fest, like me bitch festing about videographers. They were like, yeah, the cake cut had a prism in it. Everything had a prism in it. And I was thinking to myself, like, this could be a really weird video.
Yeah, just straight.
It was a very weird video.
Yeah. So what, like in terms of before the day, do you ever reach out to videographers or do you have them reach out to you? Because it was something that I used to do religiously, and then I just kind of stopped doing it a little bit. And to be honest, I think maybe it was better when I did beforehand.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you find it a little? Because I did have some photographers who said it was a little bit strange that I'd phoned them.
It's not. I mean,
No.
I think you don't necessarily need to phone them. You can just email them and
Yeah.
just say, hey. I think just the fact that you reach out to them is just a sign that it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Because you are trying to like at least have some sort of communication.
Yeah.
And especially if it's a videographer that I've worked with before, I'll typically send them like I'll have my whole planning document because I do quite a lot of planning, and I'll forward that planning on just so we're on the same page.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be like going over one schedule with a couple and the videographer is just making up another schedule somewhere else.
Yeah.
So if I know who the videographer is, I will keep them in the loop as far as planning goes.
Okay.
And even if that means like they just rely on me to do all the planning, that's fine.
Oh, yeah, I remember because you have sent me that before. I've seen it. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
quite a long list.
Good. Yeah. It takes like just wiped out my like 10 questions that I had, and like that was done, and then plus
Like
another
done.
20 more. So it was all good.
I ask my couples being like, what's the family drama? Like who's not talking to each other and stuff like that.
There's always something.
There's always something. And it's kind of
Yeah.
actually helps you keep the peace a little bit because sometimes you can kind of help keep people separated.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't want to be like, oh, can I do a photo of you and grandma? And like grandma just died. I kind of like need to know stuff like that.
Yeah. Mm. So what about like what's the best bit on the day for you, and what's the hardest bit and stuff? Did you say you is there a time of the day that you're better in that you think, like what's your like speciality? Is it
I would definitely
flash
say
or
the bit that I dislike the most. You know that time when you just finished bridal prep and you have to race to the church
yeah.
ahead of everybody
Yeah,
else?
because you've got to
And
leave
they-
last but get there first.
Yeah, exactly. And so like that's like the most dangerous driving because you're just trying to like just etch out every couple minutes that you can. And then you get to the church, there's no parking, and you have to park your car in like a situation where like you're not entirely sure your car is going to fit. Like I swear, like I've had like parking jobs where I'm like really proud of myself. Where like that much room on each end, just like trying to like sneak in there.
Yeah.
Like that time pressure and just trying to be there and then ready for the ceremony. For me, is just like the bit I don't like the most because like I feel like you run the most risk of getting lost, not being able to find a parking spot, and then all my planning goes out the window. I do really like the couples portraits. I don't really like spending that much time on them, but I do genuinely really like them. It's all fun. Like it's a good job.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So you like doing the couples, but not spending a lot of time on them. So is there something about the way to do them that you've learned to?
Yeah, I don't think people should be gone for an hour to do photos.
How long
Like
would
that's
you,
not
like?
maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most.
Okay.
I'd much rather take them for small bits of time throughout the day. So like 10 minutes during the drinks reception and maybe 10 minutes at sunset. But like it drives me nuts. If someone's saying hi, hello. It drives me nuts when people take brides and like couples away for like an hour during the middle of the day. Like it's not about that. Like if you want to go and have a photo shoot, you can go and have a photo shoot the next day. But they should be in the room to do photos. So like most of my couples are fine with the idea that like we kind of like hop out for 5-10 minutes when the light's really good and then I bring them back. And I think most people are like really on board with that. But I've had couples that have been like have given me maybe 3 or 4 minutes total the entire day for couples portraits. And you just got to get it done.
Yeah. That's an interesting, like I've definitely worked with people who've done that, but I've never really thought about it in like the cold light of day, like until you just said it then. So that was interesting to think.
But yeah, I mean,
going
like
forward.
people are coming from around the world to be there and celebrate with them.
Yeah.
Why are we going to take 2 hours out of that day?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I had a wedding this summer. Obviously, it's been postponed. But they weren't going to do any couples portraits during their wedding day, and then we were going to do a sunrise session on the Monday. So they were getting married on the Saturday, and then we were going to shoot at 6 a.m. on the Monday before they left for their honeymoon. And so then we get some really cool stuff out in the city in the morning, and then it kind of worked out. And I'm totally fine with that. Like, I'll wake up at 6 a.m. and do that. So it's just kind of like, I'd much rather do that than like steal them for hours.
It's very good of you.
Thanks.
So like, I guess I meant to touch on this at the start, but like, what about going back to you as a kind of businesswoman? Like, what about awards, and what's the setup of what's your setup, and you've got quite a few awards and stuff that you've won along the way and stuff.
I do. It's mostly, to be honest, I should be more organized about it. It's mostly when I remember to submit to them. I should, in theory, have like on my calendar a reminder to submit to this award each month. But it's mostly when they send out like email reminders. I'm like, oh, I need to do that, and then I'll go and do it. The Perfectly Planned lady says, taking the couples out for 10 minutes sounds good. I agree, and I think that's why planners like me, and that's how I get some more work.
There you go.
Because I always tell the wedding planners that like, the wedding will never run late because of me. Like, it'll run late because of other people, but you will never run late because of the photographer. And they were always like, thank you. And then I get more referrals from them, which is, I shouldn't tell people this because then everybody knows my tricks.
And that's it.
It's gone. My competitive advantage is lost.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions that's watching, do ask, because we're just kind of bumbling
running out of ideas.
To be honest. No, I got a few more.
Oh, okay.
They're a bit kind of disjointed now. I was trying to get my little interviewer flow going, but I don't know. It's all gone to shit now. So I guess taking the 10-minute approach to photos and stuff would probably be like your main top bit of advice, or something else that we've not touched on.
I definitely respecting people's time, like respecting the venue's time, keeping things on schedule, respecting the couple's time, stuff like that. And to be able to do portraits that quickly, you almost need to go out and kind of like have a set list of ideas, know what they are in your head, and then go do them and then bring them back. And that's kind of one of the reasons why like engagement sessions matter, because you've already gone through that whole process of photographing them. So they kind of already know what they like. Yeah. It's quicker. And also like after I've done the engagement session with them, I'll just say like, which ones did you love? Which ones did you didn't love? Because on the engagement session, I have them for an hour and a half. On the wedding day, if I have them for 15 minutes, we have to condense everything from that engagement session into a short amount of time. Yeah. And generally they're already more comfortable with being in front of the camera because they've already done it. So it does make a big difference. And so that's all kind of going back into like all of the work that you've done before the wedding day, makes the wedding just go a lot better. And then your couples already know you, they already trust you, they're already chill. Like they're not like really clammy in front of the camera because they've already spent time with you. And so that's just, just like pre-planning. I'm a big pre-planner. And so I have had weddings where stuff has happened and the guests haven't known where to go. I've like showed guests to their seats just to get them on time for the meal. I've like escorted them to the bus because nobody knew where the bus was. I was the only person who knew where it was. But that's all coming down to like making sure they have a good experience, and that doesn't have anything to do with pictures, but it still makes sure that like at the end of the day, they're happy and they'd be happy to refer you to somebody else.
Yeah. Just part of the bigger picture of what being at somebody's wedding is about as a sort of official supplier type thing, then, is it? Mm. So in terms of like your actual photos that you take on the day and stuff, do you have any of your photos that you've taken printed out like on your wall that you're like really proud of, or is it...
No, I don't.
I always wonder that if photographers do that with their own stuff, because it's a little bit weird because it's another couple, but if it's like an amazing photo, it's like a piece of art then. So
I'm in the process of like actually putting together like a memories box, as corny as that sounds, but like actually printing off my photos and putting them in a place and having them somewhere. I'm a big fan of like art. So like if I have my own photo on the wall, I'm gonna like analyze it a little bit too much. I'll be like looking at everything and like disliking everything. So I'll see if I can show you. Hold on. I'll turn the camera around. This is the kind of stuff that I put in my house. Like I found that in an art market in Milan. I don't know the story behind them, but I like them.
Okay.
This is the French map of Japan that I fucking love.
Right.
That's one of the most expensive things I own. Another piece of art. This is what basically ends up in my house is basically paintings from random art markets because I can't do them, I don't criticize them as much.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas if it was my own work, I'd be like, oh, I should have cloned that out. But I am going to do it more. I am actually working on my own wedding album right now. I got married 10 years ago, and I'm finally printing out my own wedding album.
So who took your photos?
Oh, a friend of mine from uni, because I couldn't really afford much more. And he did a really good job.
Okay.
I did hand it to him on a silver platter, but he did a really good job.
Okay, cool. What else should we talk about? What about like your branding and stuff? When did you rebrand? Like, have you rebranded maybe like 2 years ago?
I must have been. I redid my site in I think it was 2016. So it was 4 years ago, but I kind of brought some similarities on. So my first brand that I did, I want to say 2012, 2013. I loved it and I still love it, but it didn't work for responsive websites. It wasn't responsive at all. I was trying to do my website myself and failing. And I found a graphic designer on Etsy that was selling like social media icons. And I was like, oh, I really like these social media icons. So I emailed her and be like, do you want to do some like, could you give me a logo? And then it turned into this ginormous project. And she'd never done a website before. And I still love it. Like I think it was amazing. She hand painted my logo. She hand painted the background of my website. She hand painted these little icons that popped up when you like rolled over things. Everything in my website was hand painted. It was gorgeous. But it didn't really, the way the website was done really didn't work well on mobile at all. Like you couldn't, and mobile became like more and more of a thing. That if your website wasn't mobile friendly, it just didn't work. So we decided then I emailed her again about 2015, 2016, being like, okay, we actually need to change this a little bit because it's not working. It's not working for like Google now. And she kind of moved that branding that I had before back kind of a little bit more future focused. So there is still like hand painted stuff on my website that she's hand drawn and hand painted, which I fucking love. Yeah. But she kind of made it a little bit more so it could load better and index a bit better and actually be responsive. So you can look at it on an iPad or you can look at it on a phone. But yeah, I basically found a graphic designer on Etsy and whipped her into shape, being like, make me a website.
Why did you not find like a website designer on there? Did you like that it was she was looking at it from the visual perspective?
It was like I really liked her style, but I think like at the time I couldn't afford a proper website designer, and that wasn't my intention was to do it myself initially, and it just kind of like became like something bigger than it was. And I think because she had never done a website before and she was really inexperienced at it, I paid less than I probably should have paid for that amount of work.
Yeah.
Which is good, but she actually ended up doing a bunch of different photographer websites after that.
Okay.
Because like she like posted like the vision board on Pinterest and like it had like loads of pins and stuff like that.
Okay.
So she ended up getting work from it. Marianne says hi. Hi, Marianne.
Hey, Marianne.
And then she's ended up kind of like moving in a way that kind of like works with that visual style.
Okay.
And then when she redid my website a few years ago, I was just basically like, you know what I like? And she did, and she just did it, and it looked amazing. Like we didn't have to go through like this massive process because like I really trusted her. Yeah. So she just like started doing stuff, and I was like, yeah, that looks great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So do you, just on something you touched on then, do you use Pinterest much at the moment, like for marketing and stuff, or what do you think? I should. Pinterest?
I have it set up to auto pin for my Instagram, but I don't really optimize it probably as much as I should. Yeah. But I am like right now, especially with the whole quarantine thing and us not having any weddings, I'm trying to like get better at doing those stuff and automating that stuff and having a plan and Um, I'm doing like social media classes online right now.
Okay.
So like I
What
just finished.
you're taking them?
I'm taking them. I'm taking them.
Right,
Yeah. I just finished a social media class. So basically I signed up for a year Creative Live membership, and I've just
okay,
been
yeah.
watching stuff
Just rinsing through
because
it.
you never know what you need to know.
Exactly.
I also found that I don't really like Jasmine Starr's voice. It drives me fucking insane.
Yeah, leave that one there. I tried. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I tried, but it wasn't for me either.
Yeah, but I definitely think there's stuff in there. So like, I started the quarantine. I took a 30-hour course on Google Ads. That was mind-numbing. I've taken an Instagram ads course. I've taken social media. Started a videography course. So yeah, I'm like basically like taking myself back to school. I miss working.
So what is like the tactic from here on out? How are you gonna try and like how are you gonna get your clients and what are you gonna push? All those things that you talked about, but
Yeah, I
like,
definitely want to get better at social media because I don't think I'm very good at it. Um, it's weird. What's weird is like one of the pieces of advice that I got when I first started. Oh, the cat wants back inside. Hold on. Basically, my life revolves around letting the cat in and out. There you go. One of the best pieces of advice I had when I first started was like being good at like photography isn't going to make you a successful photographer. Like there's loads of people that are really good at photography, and the same thing with video. Like there's loads of people that are good at it. It's all of the other things that's going to make you successful. So it's like the business and the marketing and all this other stuff. Because there are people who aren't very good that are very successful, and it has nothing to do with their skill level. If you're great and you're great at those other things, like you're golden. But so it's kind of like trying to focus on like getting all those other things done, and trying to be good at social media. And I readily admit that I'm terrible at it. But I'm trying to post on Instagram.
if you had to
Talking to
put a
you.
weight, yeah, getting out there.
Yeah.
If you had to like put a weight on it as like percentage wise, what would you say it's less than 50% the actual like photography, video, like the skill is
Yeah.
about 50? Or
Maybe 50. Not more than 50 for
not
sure.
more than 50? Yeah.
No. I mean, I think it helps. But I think if you're better at, I would say like having things like being somewhat business minded and having marketing skills, I would say is just as valuable skill as being good at photography.
Yeah.
Because then you can always pitch like, oh, the shit photography, this is my style. Everything's out of focus. That's just how I shoot. I'm a really brilliant marketer.
And you could get away with it. You could turn that around.
Exactly. Like no one else is doing these blurry out of focus photos like I'm doing these blurry out of focus photos. Let me charge you a premium for it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. I think that's about it, to be honest.
Okay.
I feel like we should have like a wrap up question.
We can ask like 20 questions. Like, if you were a dessert, what kind of dessert would you be?
A triple chocolate Tesco finest fudge cake thing. I'll show you them one day. I always have them and I microwave it and then it's hot and then put cream on it. Only single cream though, not double cream. Because like,
you're not a monster.
Too much. Yeah, exactly.
The triple chocolate, that's not too much. Or the Tesco isn't too much, but the double cream's too much.
Yeah. That's just the point of no return.
Okay.
Your tiramisu.
Your turn. Oh, right, okay. Tiramisu.
Yeah. It's weird that I knew that. Why did I remember that?
I'm a big coffee drinker, so definitely having coffee for dessert.
If your cat wasn't... Oh, it should be a cat question. I don't know. I'm rubbish at this now. Because I'm like, I've asked all my questions. What would you do if you could never own a cat? Would you rather no animals for the rest of your life, or just one dog?
I have a dog.
Do you have a dog?
No, I would totally have a dog. I mean, I don't because like a dog is way too much responsibility for me. Like even the cat is a little bit too much responsibility for me. The dog, like having to like do dog related things. I would totally have a dog. I would love to have a corgi. named Georgie the corgi, like runs around and like shakes his little corgi.
Little corgi ass.
But I also like, I don't know if you saw Tiger King recently.
Yeah.
Like, you know how they're like saying like,
So
oh,
you want a
tiger
tiger?
ownership is bad. I totally want a tiger. If I was like rich, like really rich, and I could like pay someone to look after the tiger full time. So like the tiger's not getting neglected. He gets, the finest caviar the tiger could want. Like, that's a pretty good life for a tiger, right? And you could like raise a tiger, like, snuggle it and like be friends with the tiger. It's like a cat and a dog at the same time.
And are you going in to hug the tiger? And would you?
Oh yeah, well, because you would raise it from a baby, like you'd raise it from a kitten.
Okay.
And so that tiger would be like your best cat friend.
Okay. Until it rips your arm off.
Yeah, he wouldn't do that.
You still don't blame it for doing it. And go back
He'd
to
have some
5 days
scars.
later.
You'd have some scars for sure. But the whole like they're like painting Carol Baskin as being like fucking insane, and I'm just being like, I don't know, I think she's kind of cool.
I don't know.
She has all those pet cats. It's fun. I say using my cat mug as well. I'm not
you a
pitching
crazy
myself
cat
as a normal
lady?
person.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying not to be. I only have one.
Yeah.
But so many kids. Might as well be something. I don't know, like, we were talking about, like, we're not sure if once our poor cat goes up to kitty heaven, if we would get another cat straight again, because both my husband and I are self-employed, and having the cat kind of actually takes away a little bit of flexibility. So, like, we were talking about... Sorry?
Yeah, so, like, the benefits that you get from both being self-employed, the cat kind of...
Yeah, it's almost like kind of having a child. Because we were talking about going and spending, like, winter in Barcelona. But we have the cat, so like it's a little bit harder to like just take up and go to Spain for 3 months.
Yeah.
He's not going to like the trip particularly much. So we were talking like, well, if we didn't have the cat, eventually we might like go live in Thailand for a few months during the winter or something like that. Which does sound really nice. But I still like my cat.
Yeah, because I thought I was going to do 3 months in Barcelona last year, but I only did 1 month in the end. But it was amazing to just go and do that and still be working. I really wanted to go through the whole process of like booking a wedding, editing a wedding, doing everything that you would do apart from shooting when I was over there. And I didn't get a booking, which really annoyed me because I booked it like 2 days after I got back. I was like, please, I just wanted to complete the cycle,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely like it's doable, and it was an amazing month.
And Barcelona, it's so close. It's like what, a 2-hour flight?
Exactly.
You could fly to London, shoot the wedding, and fly back in the same day.
Yeah.
So we've definitely talked about that, but like, I don't think the cat would be a fan of the trip. If we had a dog, we could take a dog.
Yeah.
Dog could deal with the trip.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. Totally off topic.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I think that's about it, I guess. Then, isn't it?
Great.
Yeah.
Well, nice talking to you. Nice to see your face.
Yeah. And you.
You're looking healthy. You're keeping alive.
Yeah. Been PE with Joe every day. No, not really. So yeah, no, you're looking like bright and like, radiant or whatever.
I did my makeup for you, Stuart.
Okay.
First time in 2 weeks that I've actually put makeup on. You should be like really flattered.
I am. I did my hair for you. So.
Oh, thanks. Now after this, I figured if I'm going to do my makeup, I might as well do other things as well. So after this, I'm going to go to Costco, which is the first time I've been to a grocery store in about 2 months.
All right.
So I'm excited to see the real world, what Costco looks like now.
Yeah, be different.
It should be a little bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
So at least you have nice eyes with the face mask on.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, lovely talking to you.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, you too. Nice one. Thanks everybody
Yeah.
for joining us. Cheers. See you later.